If not now, then when? If not today, then why make your promises? A love declared for days to come is as good as none. You can wait till morning comes. You can wait for a new day. You can wait and lose this heart. You can wait and still be sorry. So if not now, then when?
We've talked about ever since we started doing this a year ago. We kind of talk about those bigger issues, those bigger ideas, and relate them rather brilliantly, if I say so, to the whole topic of international dating. I've gotten great feedback from you guys. I know that you find value in that, so let's do that again, okay? I'm going to take you guys back to 1953 because I want to talk about two really significant events that happened in 1953, if you will. Over the weekend, I was watching a men's college cross-country championship, and it reminded me of the story of Roger Bannister. So in 1953, Roger Bannister was a wiry track runner for Oxford in England, and Roger Bannister essentially ran for the very first time, it was clocked officially by the Guinness Book of World Records, a sub 4-minute mile. So think about all of the track, including the great Jesse Owens, the 4-minute mile. Roger Bannister, a medical student in Oxford, England, did this in 1953. So there you go, the first sub 4-minute mile. And then interestingly, 2 weeks after that, a gentleman from Australia by the name of Peter Yardley ran the second clocked sub 4-minute mile. I always thought it was kind of interesting that nobody could run a sub 4-minute mile forever. And then suddenly one person runs a sub 4-minute mile, and 2 weeks later, somebody else runs a sub 4-minute mile with a time that was actually better than the first sub 4-minute mile, by fractions of a second, of course. And then a year later, Roger Bannister and Peter Yardley ran together and competed, and Roger Bannister won and clocked a better time. It's amazing, actually, how that happens. Well, in 1953, another, I guess, paradigm shift occurred, if you will. In 1953, we had the first successful ascension of Mount Everest, to the summit of Mount Everest. So Sir Edmund Hillary, you all know, climbed the top of Mount Everest, the first recorded person to reach the summit at the top of Mount Everest. Well, so in 1953 that happened, right? And up until 1953 that had not happened. Do you have any idea how many guys, or how many people actually, have scaled the top of Mount Everest since 1953? It is in fact thousands. Isn't that incredible? So what is the big lesson that we're applying today, right? Look, in life, when you have a challenge, when you have an endeavor, you can ask whether or not it can be accomplished, or you can ask, how do I accomplish this? And you'll find that the great pioneers, if you study them, those who were the first to do something, ask the question, how do I do this, and not whether or not it could be done. You see, they felt in their hearts that it could be done and should be done, and someone should do it, so why shouldn't I be the first? Now, if you get on a plane and you go and meet somebody and fall in love and get married, I'm happy to tell you, you will not be the first person to do that in our business model. It's happened thousands of times since we started in 1995. But the important question for you is, how do you get on that plane, get out in front of somebody, have this really exciting introduction and courtship process, go out on some dates, fall in love, perhaps for the first time in years, truly deeply in love with somebody, and how do you bring your two worlds together so the two of you can share your lives together forever? How do you do that? That's not a small task by any stretch. What are the barriers? What are the problems? What are those deepest fears and deepest issues that are keeping you from being one of the many thousands of people that have done that? Not everybody who comes to our business model succeeds. I've told you guys before that 90% of the men who will write letters to these women will never get on the plane to go and meet anybody. 90%. And I told you that means that 90% of the women who come to us easily will never meet anybody. So the next time you're at loveme.com and you're looking at all these profiles of very, very beautiful women, the vast majority of those women are never going to meet anybody, because the vast majority of you guys are asking whether or not this is legitimate, whether or not this is real, whether or not I can meet women, whether or not beautiful women can fall in love with me. How do I do it? What are the barriers? Let me talk to the guys who have done it, find out why they were successful where others were not, how they got on the plane where others did not, and learn from them. I've got lots of those guys who are more than happy to reach out to you, extend a hand, and help you move forward. I want more of you to move forward in this exciting process than have ever done so prior to that.
check out our website at acapulcowomen.com. Don't forget to click on our red subscribe button and notice bell to get updated every time we add something new.